I'm pregnant, I said it in a whisper, but the silence afterward felt deafening. Karan looked at me like I'd spoken another language. What? I said, I'm pregnant, he blinked. Then he laughed, actually laughed. You're joking, right? I shook my head slowly, my hands were shaking. I'm not. I took the test yesterday. Twice, you can't be serious, he muttered, stepping back. You know what this would do to me. To my career, to your. I choked on my breath. Karan, this is our child, no. Aarohi, this is your problem. His words slapped harder than any hand ever could. My problem? Are you out of your mind? I snapped. You were there too. You didn't think of your career then. That was different. I didn't think you'd actually get pregnant. He ran a hand through his hair. Pacing, you have to get rid of it. I froze. Excuse me, I can't have this right now, he said, voice rising. I'm on the verge of a promotion. My mom is planning my engagement to Annika. You know how much pressure I'm under. My stomach twisted. Engagement? What are you talking about? He paused, looking anywhere but at me. They've been talking, it's just talk, doesn't matter. It matters to me, I screamed. You've been sleeping with me while your mother arranges your marriage to someone else. I never promised you forever, he said coldly. You knew what this was. No. I whispered, I didn't. I loved you. Then that's on you, he said. I wanted to vomit. Suddenly. The door slammed open, his mother walked in, perfectly timed, perfectly cruel, I heard shouting. She said, eyeing me like dirt. What now? She's pregnant, Karan muttered, staring at the floor. She froze, then smirked. Of course she is, I straightened. Mrs. Kapoor. I don't need your approval. I just thought you should know. Oh, sweetie, she cut me off. You're nobody. Do you honestly believe my son would throw away his future for a girl like you? I'm carrying his child, I said firmly, biting my lip to hold back tears. And you'll quietly take care of it, she said, stepping closer. You won't trap him, we won't allow it, you can't force me. Oh, I won't have to. You love him, don't you? Her smile turned poisonous. If you really love him, you won't ruin his life. Karan looked up, eyes bloodshot but blank. She's right. You should end it. Say it to my face, I demanded. He looked at me, really looked tan for a second. I thought I saw something crack in his eyes. But all he said was, end it, please. I felt my soul crack. You coward, I'm sorry, he whispered. No, you're not, I said. But you will be. Tears slipped down my cheeks, my knees went weak. But I stood my ground. You'll regret this, maybe not now. But one day, when you've got everything you thought you wanted and still feel empty, you'll remember me. You'll remember this moment. I turned and walked away, even though my legs screamed to collapse. I didn't cry in front of them. I cried later in the cold, lonely waiting room of a clinic I never thought I'd visit. When the nurse called my name, I stood up with a heavy stomach and a hollow heart. Inside the sterile white room, I signed a form with trembling hands. The pen felt like a weapon. My signature looked nothing like mine. Are you sure? The doctor asked gently. No. But I nodded anyway. As I lay there, staring at the ceiling, my hands over the small curve of my belly, I whispered, I'm sorry, baby. I wish I could have protected you when it was over. I couldn't move. A nurse offered me water. I refused. Outside, the world looked the same. But I didn't. I walked home, clutching my stomach like something was still there, like a ghost might cling to me if I let it. Back in my room, I collapsed onto the floor. The pain wasn't just physical. It was the sound of his voice echoing in my skull. You knew what this was. I stared at the ceiling for hours. Then I pulled out a blank notebook and wrote one sentence on the first page. He will regret this, and I swore I wouldn't stop until he did. Dear Karan, by the time you read this, if you ever do, I'll be gone. I'm not running. I'm surviving. That's the only thing left for me now. Goodbye. I folded the letter with shaky hands and left it on his doorstep. No name, no drama, just the truth written in ink I could barely see through my tears. You really want to do this? The cab driver asked as I slid into the back seat. I already did, I whispered, avoiding the rearview mirror. Where to? Anywhere but here. He gave me a look, but didn't push. You got it. I turned my phone off, deleted my socials, erased every trace of me online like I never existed. Like I didn't just bury a part of myself. Name, the receptionist asked when I stepped into the clinic 2 towns away. Aarohi, Jain, you sure? She raised an eyebrow. Not really. I muttered. She typed something and handed me a clipboard. Dr. Sean will see you in 15 minutes. I nodded and sat down. The paper in my hands blurring before my eyes, my chest felt hollow, like someone had scooped out everything that made me human and left me to rot in my own silence. He opened the door with a warm smile. You must be Aarohi. I stepped in. So you already know I'm broken. I don't use that word, he said, motioning to the couch. I prefer healing in progress. I sat down, arms crossed. I don't want pity. You won't get any from me. He leaned back in his chair, calm, unshaken, like nothing I could say would surprise him. So? He began gently. Why are you here? I stared at him because I had to choose between dying inside every day or starting over. He nodded slowly. And today is day one. No, I said. Today is the day I disappeared. Therapy wasn't like in the movies, no magical fix in 1 hour, just quiet, questions, breathing exercises, and space to bleed. I trusted him. I said one afternoon, my voice trembling. He made me feel safe until he didn't. Dr. Sean's tone never changed, and now? Now I feel stupid, I said. Used, empty, you feel human. I let that sink in. He handed me a tissue. Start with what hurts the most. I closed my eyes. He told me to end it like it was a stain on his life. And what did you feel? Like I died. He nodded again. Then let's bring you back. I rented a tiny room above an old bookstore. No one knew me. That was the point. The old lady downstairs, Mrs. Desai, brought me chai every morning. She never asked questions. You have pain in your eyes, she said one day. I'm fine, I replied. She laughed softly. That's how I know you're not. I stared at the steam rising from the cup and whispered. He left me to bleed alone. She gently placed a hand on mine. Then make sure he never forgets who you become after. One night, I reread the letter I left for Karan. You'll move on. You'll smile. Maybe you'll even forget. But I'll carry this scar like a brand, burned into my soul. One day you'll feel what I felt. Maybe not from me. But karma doesn't forget. I folded it again and cried for the last time. The next morning, I woke up and looked in the mirror. I didn't recognize her. But I was ready to meet her, the girl who disappeared to survive, the woman who would return to destroy him. Ma'am, they're waiting for you in the boardroom, the intern said. Let them wait. I flipped my hair back, adjusted my blazer, and took one last look at my reflection. Sharp eyes, steady breath, no trace of the girl who once begged to be loved. I walked in and froze. Karan. He looked up mid-sentence, voice catching. His eyes widened, mouth parted. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. But I wasn't a ghost anymore. He was. Aarohi? He muttered. I smiled politely at the rest of the room. Let's begin, shall we? I slid into the seat opposite him. He couldn't stop staring. Miss Jain, one of the directors said, please walk us through the campaign strategy. Of course, I clicked the remote. My tone smooth. Our vision focuses on emotional recall, digital precision, and zero dependence on ego-driven narratives. His jaw clenched. I kept talking, never once looking at him. Not really. Just enough to make sure he saw what he lost. After the presentation, people applauded. I stood. Karan rushed over. Wait, can we talk? I didn't even pause. I'm late for another meeting. Aarohi, please, my name's Miss Jain now. He stepped back, stunned. You've changed. You haven't. I didn't know you were. You didn't know a lot of things, I said. Walking past him, I regret it. He called after me. I stopped in the hallway. Good. Then I walked away. Back at my office, Rhea was waiting with 2 coffees and a wicked grin. So, she said, sipping, you saw him. I tossed my folder on the desk. He looked like someone set his ego on fire. She cackled. God, I wish I was there. You'll get your chance. What did he say? You've changed. I rolled my eyes like it was some kind of insult. Let me guess, she said, crossing her legs. You hit him with the Ice Queen stare. I didn't even need it. My silence did the job. You know? Rhea said, smirking. You're kind of scary now. Good, I mean, I liked Broken You too, she said gently. But this you, she's lethal. I met her eyes. She had to be. 2 hours later, I got a text from an unknown number. Can we please talk just once? I didn't reply. 2 minutes later, another one. You look amazing. I was shocked, proud, confused. I miss you. I turned the phone off. Let him sweat, Rhea said, glancing at me. Men like him only value what they lose. I'm not something he lost, I said. I'm something he never deserved. She raised her coffee to that. That night, I stood in front of the mirror again. Same face, different fire. The girl who once cried herself to sleep over him, she's gone. And this time, I'm the one who disappeared on my terms. Asterisk. Ma'am, these flowers came for you again. I didn't even look up from my screen. Throw them away. But there, trash them, Priya, all of them. She hesitated. There's also a note. Burn that too. The door clicked shut behind her. I stared at my laptop, but the words blurred into shapes. Not because I was tired, but because I knew what the note said without reading it. I'm sorry. Please talk to me. I stood up, walked to the window and looked down. There he was again. Same black shirt. Same anxious pacing near the building. Same desperate eyes. I pulled the blinds. At home, I pulled out the old notebook from under my bed. The leather was cracked, pages worn, the same one I used to write to you in. I stared at the last entry. Faded ink, 2 years old. I don't know what you would have looked like, but I imagined soft eyes, tiny fists, maybe your dad's crooked smile, back when I thought that smile was real. I flipped to a new page. Dear baby, he came back today. With flowers, with apologies, with eyes full of regret. But you know what, it's too late. I buried you alone. I cried alone. And he never once looked back. Now that I've found my voice, he wants to speak. No. Not anymore. I exhaled, the pain didn't leave. But at least it listened. Buzz. I glanced at my phone. Karen, I just want 1 minute, please. Just one. Buzz. Karen, you look stronger. I hate that. I didn't protect that strength when you needed me. Buzz. Karen, I went to the temple today. I prayed. For the first time in years, I prayed for you. I turned my phone off. He didn't pray when I was in that clinic. He didn't pray when his mother called me a stain. He didn't pray when I screamed on the bathroom floor, bleeding out the last piece of you. So no. I didn't care if he was praying now. Rhea dropped by unannounced, holding 2 cups and a bag of fries. You look like you've been writing again, she said. Settling on the couch, I nodded. Letters to him? No. To someone who never got to live. She went quiet. You still think about it? She asked. Every day. Do you regret it? I looked her dead in the eyes. No. I regret trusting him. I regret loving him. But I don't regret letting go of something I wasn't ready to bring into a world where I'd be hated for it. She nodded. You're brave, Aarohi. I'm stitched together with every scream I swallowed. At 3 a.m., I woke up from a dream where you were real. Tiny feet tapping across the floor. Your laugh echoed. It sounded like bells. I cried into my pillow, trying not to wake the silence. Then I wrote again. Dear baby. He's still out there, still waiting. I wonder if he ever imagines what our mornings could have looked like. You climbing onto his back. Him calling you a handful, me laughing from the kitchen. But dreams don't feed the hungry, do they? I starved for love and choked on his rejection. I hope wherever you are, you don't miss me the way I miss you. The next morning, Priya hesitated. Again at my door. Another bouquet? I asked without looking up. No, she said. He's outside. I stood. Walked to the window again. He wasn't pacing this time. Just standing. Still. Alone. Holding a tiny stuffed rabbit. The same one I once told him I'd buy if it was a girl. I backed away from the glass and I cried again. But this time, I didn't cry for him. You lied to me, Karan. Naina's voice cut through the silence like shattered glass. I didn't. Don't, she snapped. Don't insult my intelligence. You still love her, don't you? I wasn't there. But Rhea told me later. Said Naina found a saved photo of me on his old laptop. One I didn't even remember being taken. My eyes closed. My hand on my stomach. You're imagining things, he muttered. She had your child, didn't she? Karan froze, and you let her go. You let her suffer while you ran off to build your little empire. She haunts you, Naina whispered, and now, you're haunted. You want a break. Mira stared at me, arms crossed. I need one, I said. You've been killing it, Aarohi. What happened? I'm tired. Her expression softened. Is this about Karan? No. I lied, she sighed. You're good at what you do. But you're human too. Take 2 weeks. Go disappear. I nodded, exhaling slowly. Thank you, just don't come back with more demons. I forced a laugh. I'll try. Later that day, I sat across from Dr. Shah, fingers clenched around a paper cup. You said you wanted to revisit the clinic memory today, she said gently. I nodded. Tell me what you see. I swallowed. White walls, a ticking clock. I kept looking at the second hand. I wanted it to stop. What did Karan say before you went in? Nothing. He wasn't there. Her pen stilled. I waited. I texted him, called, his phone was off. What did you feel when the doctor asked if I was sure? I wasn't. But I said yes because what choice did I have? Tears blurred my vision. They called my name. I remember walking down that hallway. It felt endless. She stayed silent. They told me to lie down. Cold gel. Harsh light. I stared at the ceiling and kept thinking. Why am I alone? I looked at her. No one should bleed alone, doctor. You didn't deserve that. But I accepted it that night. Rhea found me curled on the couch. Therapy hit hard. I nodded. She asked about the abortion. Rhea sat beside me. Do you want to talk about it? No. I whispered. But I think I need to, okay? I kept thinking she might have been a girl. I would have named her Anaya. Soft eyes, big dreams. She would have had you, Rhea said softly. And that's enough. She didn't even get a heartbeat. She got your love. That's more than most kids born into this world. Meanwhile, I can't do this. Naina said, throwing the ring on Karan's desk. He looked stunned. Wait, please, no. You loved her, you still love her, and I was your distraction. That's not true. I won't marry a man whose soul is owned by another woman. Karan's voice cracked. Naina, don't leave. She looked him dead in the eye. She left because you broke her. I'm leaving because you broke me trying to fix yourself. And then, she walked out. The next morning, I got an email from Mira. Subject: forwarded. Resignation letter. Karan Malhotra. Attached was his exit letter. No explanation, no goodbye. I stared at the screen, then closed it because I wasn't ready to feel sorry for the man who made me feel disposable. Not yet. Can we talk? His voice stopped me in the corridor. My breath caught in my throat. I didn't turn. Why? Because I can't carry this anymore. He whispered. I faced him. Then maybe you shouldn't have created it in the first place. Karan stepped closer, eyes glassy. I know I messed up. But I swear I didn't know how badly until I saw you again. You didn't see me, I said quietly. You saw the consequences of your actions. Big difference. He blinked rapidly, like he couldn't believe I was actually standing here. Like he'd rehearsed this moment 1,000 times, and now all the words were slipping away. I was scared, he finally said. I was young. Stupid. My mom. Don't drag your mother into this. She didn't abandon me in that hospital bed. You did. He looked down. I know. No. You don't. I snapped. You don't know what it's like to lie there, cold, shaking, with a piece of you dying inside, while the person you trusted most is out living like nothing happened. I hated myself every day after that, he murmured. But not enough to stop, I said. Not enough to show up. Not enough to say anything. I wanted to, so many times. I wrote messages, deleted them. I'd call and hang up. Every time. I felt like I'd already ruined everything you had, I said. There's no maybe there, Karan. You did. His hands shook. I never stopped thinking about you. Then you should have fought for me when it mattered. Not now. Not when I finally started breathing without you. I couldn't move on, he said. I tried. Aarohi, God. I tried. But nothing. No one felt like you. I stared at him. You think that's love? His lips trembled. I think it's regret and guilt and the memory of the only real thing I ever had. A pause. Then, I'm sorry for everything. For leaving, for being a coward, for making you bleed alone. My eyes burned. But I held my ground. You broke me, I said. Not just my heart, my trust, my innocence. My belief that love means protection. I know. He whispered. Silence hung between us. And then I said it. You didn't lose me, Karan. You lost the version of me that loved you. He flinched. I stepped back. The girl who waited for your calls, she's gone. The girl who imagined your name on our baby's birth certificate. She died. Aarohi, no. I cut him off. You don't get to say my name like it. Still belongs to you. His eyes filled with tears. I don't expect forgiveness. I needed you to know that I never stopped loving you. Love isn't absence, Karan. It's presence. It's showing up when things get ugly. You failed. He wiped his eyes. I'll leave. If that's what you want. I just needed to say it. Even if you never speak to me again. I nodded slowly. Goodbye, Karan. He stood there silent. Broken. But I didn't stay to watch. I walked away. Not because I hated him. But because I finally loved myself more than I loved the ghost of us. I'm done, Karan. You can have your ghosts. Naina's voice echoed across the banquet hall. Every head turned. He looked stunned. Naina. Not here. Why not? You didn't mind humiliating me in private. Let's give the public a show. I never meant to hurt you, he muttered. She laughed. That's the thing about men like you. You never mean to. But you do. Again and again. Naina, please. I know about Aarohi, she snapped. The abortion, the betrayal. You loved her and used me to numb your guilt. Gasped. He went pale. Save your pity, she said to the crowd. He doesn't deserve it. He's not a victim. He's just a man who lost a good woman and never became a better one. She dropped the ring on the floor. It clinked like a gavel. I hope you remember this moment, Karan, because I will. Then she walked out and the room fell silent. What did I tell you, Karan? His mother's voice was cold steel. He didn't answer. She marched into the living room, sorry, rustling. I told you she was a good match, educated, polite, from a respectable family, and you ruined it. I didn't mean for this to happen. You didn't mean for anything to happen, did you? Not when you got that girl pregnant. Not when you ignored your responsibilities. Ma. She slapped the glass off the table. Don't call me that. You dragged our family name through the mud. The press is outside. The society ladies are gossiping. Your father won't leave the bedroom. He looked down, hollow-eyed. You are not the son I raised, I know. Fix this. I can't. She stared at him like he was a stranger. Then get out of my house. Thank you all for being here, I said, gripping the mic with steady hands. The auditorium was full. Cameras, lights. But I didn't feel fear. I felt ready when I was younger. I believed love could heal anything. I believed sacrifice meant something, that if you gave someone everything, they'd protect you. I paused. I was wrong, murmurs. But sometimes being wrong is the beginning of being right. Sometimes heartbreak is the push you need to find yourself. I took a breath. I gave everything to a man who left me bleeding physically and emotionally. I had no choice but to survive. A beat of silence. I was shamed, silenced, forgotten. But not broken. Applause started to ripple. I stand here today not because I healed overnight but because I chose myself every single day. I rebuilt from scratch. And now, I help others do the same. The applause grew louder. To every woman who was told she was too emotional, too much. To broken, remember, you were never the problem. The world was just too small to hold your fire. Cheers erupted. People stood. And in the back corner I saw him. Karen. Alone, sunken, watching. I turned away. Later, Mara grabbed my hand. You killed it. I smiled. I didn't cry. You made others cry. That's more powerful. I saw him, I admitted. In the back. You okay? Yeah. Regret suits him, she said. I exhaled. Yeah. It does. He sat on the bench outside the venue, hands clenched, staring at the ground. I walked past him. Aarohi, I stopped. He looked up. Broken, you were incredible in there. Thanks. I didn't know how strong you were until I saw you tonight. I tilted my head. I've always been strong, you just never bothered to look. I'm sorry, I'm not. I said. Because if you hadn't shattered me, I'd never have found this version of myself. He nodded, swallowing hard. I lost everything, you lost yourself. Everything else was just a symptom. Silence. He looked at me with hollow eyes. Do you hate me? No, I said. I pity you. Then I walked away. Because karma had arrived and I had nothing left to prove. The leaves whispered as I stepped into the clearing. It was still there, the little sapling, now taller than me, its thin trunk bent slightly like it remembered pain. I knelt beside it, tracing the bark with my fingertips. Hi, baby, I whispered. It's been a while, the silence answered. I reached into my bag and pulled out the letter. My last one. The one I never meant to write but had to. I ran my fingers over the folded paper one last time. I think I finally understand, I murmured. You weren't a punishment. You were a push. The breeze picked up. I thought I needed revenge. I thought I needed closure from them. But turns out, I only needed it from myself. I dug a shallow patch in the soil and placed the letter inside. Goodbye, I said, voice steady. I'm okay now, really. I stood slowly, lighter. I didn't expect you to actually show up, Ranch said, sipping his coffee. Neither did I replied, sliding into the seat across from him. I'm glad you did, are you? I raised an eyebrow. He smirked. You're still sharp and you're still persistent. He leaned forward. You don't owe me anything. Aarohi, I just wanted to say something. Before we both vanish into our own lives again. Then say it, you remind me of Rhea. He said quietly. The way she used to be before everything. She was soft, I said. I'm not. No, you're steel wrapped in silk. And that's not a bad thing. I smiled slightly. That line rehearsed. He chuckled a little. But true, we sat in silence for a few moments. It wasn't awkward, it was calm. So, what happens now? He asked. I go home, I said. I start over. And me? You live your life? He nodded slowly. And if one day, our paths cross again, then we'll see who we've become. He held out his hand. Friends, I hesitated for just a second, then shook it. Friends. Walking back through the city, I felt it. The absence, not of pain but of weight. The bitterness I carried for years, the ache, the betrayal, it wasn't gone. It was just quiet now. Tamed. I paused outside a bakery, smiling faintly at the sight of a father holding his toddler. I didn't flinch anymore. I didn't ache. I just watched and moved on. Later that night, I stood on my balcony with a warm cup of tea. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I saw your speech. You were brilliant. I didn't respond. Some ghosts don't deserve replies. I looked up at the sky, cloudless, endless, calm. It hit me then. Peace doesn't arrive with noise. It comes quietly, like forgiveness, like mourning. I wasn't who I used to be. And that was my quiet kind of victory.